And welcome back to the fourth edition of the Sheets Boys podcast of the 31 Man Online Dynasty. And, sorry it's been a while. Things have been a little hectic. Sorry, we were a little disorganized there. But the only thing that matters is that Ricky and I are here. And how's it going, Ricky?
It's going pretty good, Frank.
It's going pretty good.
No complaints on my end.
What's not good is this score that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, we might as well get right into it, huh? I'm sure everyone wants to hear my take on it anyway. Obviously, this was just an unfortunate circumstance that impacted me greatly. This is definitely going to make it to where, the Big Ten race is going to be an uphill battle for me. But, mistakes happen. I don't think ill will of Ian over it. You know, shit just happens. Hopefully, it's just something that the commissioners learn from to where it doesn't happen again. Granted, we've been down that road before with West Virginia,
Right,
but I'd never wanted to react the way he did. At the end of the day, this is just a video game,
right.
and I'm having fun with it.
Yeah, he sent me death
Still have fun
threats.
with it. Did he?
No,
I
he
didn't know
didn't. But
that.
he didn't send me death threats. But he did send me a message on Facebook, pretty
Oh
much.
God.
But it's okay because I don't take it seriously enough. But he did
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah. That's the main thing. Just don't
And
take it too
and I
seriously.
still see him watching some of the streams sometimes. So I bet you he still wishes he was in here. But we have a new West Virginia. Um, and you know what? Let's just jump right into the week 5 games.
Oh, um, we could actually just start there if you want to. The West Virginia TCU game.
Yeah, let's jump. Let's try to find that. There it is.
There, there it is. I mean, just the thing with Brandon, the new West Virginia user, he just makes a lot of mistakes offensively right now as he's trying to learn his team. But I mean, he passes for a lot of yards.
He's actually good
Just
on defense. His
he
problem is
is.
he just throws a lot of pick sixes.
And then this was the Sean Hawker game where like this dude would literally just shrug off any tackle. It's
Right, 10
pretty.
carries.
It was pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, he has a lot of um,
Platinum Field General.
high
I'm looking at
abilities. I was gonna
Jesus.
say, yeah, he's got a lot of strong abilities, and he's only a sophomore as well. So TCU has
Yeah.
a lot of brightness ahead.
No, that's insane. But that's one of the games that TCU needed to keep their playoff chances alive. And West Virginia is just sort of in a rebuilding year or year to learn their identity. And
Yeah, first year in the league, it takes a
yep,
little bit. So I got faith in Brandon
for
and
sure.
down the road. So let's go to the ACC. Let's go Pitt, Louisville. Looked like a dramatic comeback by Pitt in the fourth. So I didn't catch this one, so I'm not exactly sure what happened. But 4 interceptions by Louisville, um, 2 interceptions by Pitt. Just looks like a turnover fest that Pitt ended up winning. Looks like he was able to run the ball well, so it looks like that's kind of what Pitt likes to do. Whereas
I also see
Louisville,
only 96 yards for that running back,
right?
so it must means he was working with a lot of short fields.
Yep,
Just one of those games where if Louisville didn't throw as many interceptions,
5 rushing
maybe this is a
touchdowns for the
maybe this is a
Panthers.
different game.
So that's kind of
Yeah,
like Pitt's identity is the rushing
looks
attack
like a
there.
lot of short fields and just took advantage of the red zone.
Right. Let's go. Notre Dame and North Carolina.
Yep, this
UNC
was one of
played
those measuring
close.
stick games for North Carolina, and Notre Dame was just tough. This is actually I think a one score possession kind of game whole way through. North Carolina had some chances to tie it or even go ahead, but I believe Nate just locked down defensively, and
Yeah,
it's
once again
sort of just
zero
more
passing
par for the course for
touchdowns.
the rest of these ACC teams.
Right, zero passing touchdowns, 5 total picks. It looks like a
Yeah, I
rush
mean,
another rushing game, another defensive
this is sort of just
slugfest.
what been Notre Dame's mo so far is force a lot of picks from the other team and just run the ball.
Right.
It'd be interesting if Notre Dame ever has to come back from behind if they're capable. I'm not so sure they've shown that they're a good passing team thus far,
Yeah,
but
he's great on
obviously
defense.
obviously the MO is not even be in that position to begin with.
All
So
right. Let's move on here to Arizona and Utah here. Looks like Arizona ran away with this one.
yeah, and this is a little disappointing because Utah had a lot of momentum coming in. There was they needed to have a good performance here to show that they were in the upper class of the Big 12, belonged in the conversation with the likes of Colorado, Arizona, Kansas. But now after this game, I think it's safe to say we are looking at a three-headed monster in terms of that conference. Utah just back to the drawing board here. Arizona looks like they had the control the whole way through.
Yeah, on top of all those rush yards, he almost threw for 200 and 2 touchdowns. So whereas
Yeah, I mean,
Utah
I
threw
mean, it is
five
what it is.
picks,
Like Arizona's a tough opponent,
right?
and
Never, they're always going to give you their all.
yep. So now you just know you need to do more next game.
So moving on to my game here, Texas. Looks like
Yes.
Texas here jumped ahead
Yep.
early, 28-7. Started to come back at the end there, got a lucky pick. Could run the ball well. Just I struggle with passing. Just my skill
Yards I'm
position.
looking at.
My skill positions are a little weak, but it's tough, which makes it hard in the SEC. But it's on me in recruiting. Didn't really understand it year one. Then you helped me year two and kind of taught me everything. So that's why this year I'm number one in recruiting. But it doesn't really help me right now. Whereas I only have 88 pass yards, and that's not going to cut it. So got
No,
to
no, is it one of those deals where you're throwing one interception and it's abandoning the passing game?
Well, I think, yeah, I threw two picks actually, but the one was real late. One was early, and then I just went to the run because I just didn't want to pass. So because I didn't trust my quarterback making the throws. Credit Texas, he dominated me. Four touchdown passes. He only threw three incomplete passes. He ran the ball well. So Texas is tough. So
Yeah, that Texas needed that game. Both of you guys actually needed this game,
yep,
considering your out of conference performance up to this point. I, you're staring down a hole definitely where you have to win the rest of your games. Yeah, there's still probably a path to win to get to the SEC championship, but you're gonna need some help, and you're definitely gonna need to find an identity you can trust
right.
to get the results you need.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up yet. I got some help with Texas A&M losing to Tennessee CPU.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
big loss.
so hopefully, and then I play them coming up soon. So hopefully, I can take them down and take care of business there. But it's going to be tough. See, let's go to.
Missouri, Georgia, there.
Oh yeah, Missouri, Georgia. Yep. Missouri took care of
This
business.
is Missouri takes care of business. They had a little bit of a tough out of conference schedule. They actually had to come to Lincoln. Didn't go so great for them,
I
but I mean
gave them whooping.
but now getting the nitty gritty of the SEC, and they're taking care of business. They are a potent offense for sure, and I was looking at some of this box score,
Yeah,
did a
five and
lot of
zero
their
in the red
damage.
zone. So every time
Yeah,
they
I mean
were in
that's
the,
big.
yep,
But it looks like it was a close game till the fourth quarter.
nine
But I didn't get a
interceptions
chance to watch that one.
for
Ooh,
Georgia.
yeah.
That's not gonna win you many games. I
No,
threw eight
it's
and
sort of the
one,
learning curve with this league sometimes.
but yeah. Let's see. Let's check Missouri here. Three interceptions. So looks like Georgia's turnovers helped out Missouri a lot. Gave them a lot of short fields, a lot of rushing touchdowns. So good for Missouri there. Definitely needed that SEC win. So let's
All right,
move
what else
on
we got
here.
here? I think is it my
Your
game that's
your
next?
game. Yep. So you took
Yeah,
care
this
of
was
USC.
this was a high scoring first quarter. I went down the field immediately, scored a touchdown, only to get a kickoff returned on me. Go down, score again, only for a one play, 80-yard touchdown, rushing the ball.
Well, hey,
After that, though, I was able to lock down a little
yeah,
defensively.
5 for 5 on third
Uh,
downs. So I mean, you converted your third downs, didn't get in any fourths. You threw a couple of picks there in the red zone, but I mean, you still, scored five
yep, that's
touchdowns
fine. I
within
mean,
the 20. That's how
this
you
game
play.
was eventually 35-14, so
Right.
I just was not playing as locked in as I probably
Seven
should
total
have. But I mean,
touchdowns.
USC is a very good team defensively. I mean, you know this. You lost them
Right.
earlier.
Exactly.
They're
Plays good
very
defense.
they're very good at basically forcing you into some throws you don't want to with. well-timed pressure, and
And you
that's just
carried the
how it goes
ball.
sometimes.
You actually rushed
Yeah,
the ball.
I sort of have a running back by committee here. I have each one of those guys sort of has a role in the offense. Um, yeah, to get where I want to be, I have to sprinkle in the run a little bit more in these user matchups.
Right, forcing 3 interceptions. He got
But I mean,
going on the ground, but
yeah. Well, one of those was the 80-yard touchdown.
right.
That
So,
is what it is.
yep.
But
So
I
good
felt
win
really good
for
about that
Nebraska
game.
after that
Yeah, I felt really good
controversial
about that game.
controversial game. But
Yeah, needed that win for
yeah,
sure.
right, you got to bounce back. So Oklahoma, Florida didn't get played, and so I think that's it for week 5.
Yeah, I think so.
So move along here to week 6.
I'll let you take the lead on this next one.
Well, here Pitt, Miami. So let's see, Miami here. Bobby's a good player. He's always plays tough. Yeah, Pitt. I don't know much about Pitt, but it looks like he likes to. When he does throw, he likes to throw picks. I'm in that same boat. A lot of people
I don't
are.
think he likes to throw picks. He just
Well,
happens to
a
throw
lot of
picks.
people in this league throw picks. I mean, that's just how it is. The
Yeah, I
games,
mean, I did year one.
the
It's definitely
sliders
there's.
have made it harder, definitely on defense, no doubt. But good for
Yeah,
Bobby there. Got definitely could get Chris Johnson Jr. running there. So good for
I mean, for
Bobby.
Pitt, I mean, they're definitely like there's a path. Like you just lock in terms of throwing the ball where you're willing to take more sacks and punt the ball. You might be
Right.
setting yourself up for success more.
Definitely, no
But
doubt
I mean,
about
easier
that.
said than done. I've been there.
Right. This game happened earlier today. 14 total turnovers in this game. Georgia Tech was actually winning 21-14 at one point, and then I think he threw 2 pick sixes and put Louisville on top. But yeah, that was just the game of the turnovers there.
Oh,
Louisville won that.
nine
Yeah,
interception.
I think there was
Jesus.
13 interceptions and a fumble. But hey, Louisville got a
Yeah, I
win
mean
in conference, so that's all that
that's one of
matters in
those
the
games
end.
where both guys are trying to give it away.
Right.
But I mean, it's also just where it's more a little bit casual. I feel like it might be a little bit more arcadey in the ACC in the way they, some of those teams play. Where, my God, it feels like Big Ten. I have to be like, you know, literally head on a swivel all in game 60
Right.
minutes.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to say there's a drop off,
You can say whatever
but
you want. It's your podcast, Frank.
right. We'll just leave it at that. Moving on to Kansas,
Okay.
West Virginia. Um, it looked like
So I mean, all right, you
Kansas.
want to talk about picks again? I mean, this game was over before it even started because Brandon couldn't stop throwing interceptions to Kansas.
Right.
Actually, I believe, if I remember correctly, watching this, Kansas' offense didn't score as much as West Virginia's offense. Part of that because their defense was always on the field, but
Right. Only 92 passing
this
yards.
is just a game where you're just, if you're willing just to take some of these sacks and sort of these just punt the ball, you might be setting yourself up for success.
Right.
And Brandon needs to learn that you don't need to score every possession.
I mean, just looking at the
This
stats, you'd
this
think West Virginia won this.
right, but that's also because they had the ball the whole time.
Correct.
Because if they weren't throwing if they weren't scoring a touchdown themselves, they were throwing a pick six.
Right.
So there's just a learning curve here,
But
a little
yeah,
bit more discipline that needs to be at work.
keeps Kansas 2-0 in the Big 12 and
But
5-0.
West Virginia is still impressive. I think if they ever get, you know, sort of their feet under them, they could have given Kansas a really good game here, but
Definitely.
wasn't meant to be.
So we talked about this, I believe, in our last one, and I picked Florida State, and it looks like it came true. So the NC State user looks like he's pretty tough. So
He is good, and
credit Florida
honestly,
State.
watching this game, Ian should have lost this game. I mean,
All right,
he
I
was
didn't get
down
a
10
chance.
late. Yeah, he was down 10 late. NC State actually, I feel like it was like 2 minutes or 3 minutes to go, something like that. They were still up 10, but they threw an interception on third down, and
Oh,
yeah, and Ian was able to just take the lead after that. He was just trying again. I feel like I'm a broken record here, but maybe that's just the theme of the week: is punt the ball, let your
don't
defense
right.
try to win you the game. Don't give your opponent some short fields, and you might end up winning
And
the game.
that's a
So
lesson that I'm trying to learn myself. And I think I'm trying. I got better at it in the Texas game, but I felt maybe one of them I should have went for instead of punting. But that's neither here nor there, and that's in the past.
yeah,
But I understand. I get your point.
no, but that was a really good game. That's the first time I was able to see NC State actually play. They are a tough opponent.
Yeah,
That game could have went
he'll be a one to
easily
watch.
their way. So that I think that's someone maybe not this year now. Maybe someone looking at next year like, oh, there's our dark horse to make
Right.
a playoff run.
So moving on to probably the game of the week.
Yeah. Did
I
you catch
didn't.
this one at all,
I
Frank?
I did not. So you're gonna have to tell me about it
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I was invested in this
because you're heavily invested. This is a
game.
big one for you, actually. You
Yeah, this is a big one for me. I mean, it doesn't matter who won it. I'm still gonna have to face both teams, but
right.
I was actually surprised Iowa lost this one. They were up, I don't know, 17, 7.5 or something like that. And they actually forced another, either a punt right off the half or got another interception. I thought they were gonna run away with it, but it sort of seems like the play calling got a little conservative. And Oregon, they just have a lot. They know how to play their team. They have a lot of talent offensively, and they came back. They won the fourth quarter.
Hmm.
A little bit of a mishap on Bake's end of things. He got the ball back with 40 seconds to go, down four. I think he still had chew clock on, so it went from like 40 seconds down to 10, and he had the one play to make it. It was an interception.
So is that starting to be a
So
trend from the Hawkeyes?
what's that?
I always feel, and I don't mean this any disrespect to Iowa, but I feel Iowa always has a chance late in games to win, and something just always happens to them. I feel like this happened
Well,
last year, a game against Penn State. Um, wasn't that in the playoff?
semifinal. Yep,
Yeah,
semifinal. Yep. Yeah. Now that was a little different scenario. This one is just, I think, a mistake that can happen.
right,
But I mean, Iowa. I mean, for better or worse, they are always in a close game. So
right,
granted, against me, they are actually on the other side of that. They know how to close the games out. They beat, you know, they've beaten Penn State a couple times in close games. So I don't think it's something that Bake himself has to worry about. I just think the law of averages usually come out to play.
right, definitely. So moving on here, another Big 12 matchup. Arizona again taking care of a TCU team that is pretty tough. Looks like an
Oh
overtime
yeah,
win.
this I have a lot of things to say about this game.
All right,
I think this was another one you had to miss because you had to be up at 3 a.m. for work.
correct.
I had off, so this is a game that TCU should have won.
Okay,
No doubt about
take me through
it.
it.
Or if nothing else, they missed an opportunity to score at the end of the game. Arizona, they were at the 2 yard line with like 2 minutes to go, and TCU never used any timeouts to for when they get the ball back. They ended up with like just 30 seconds to go, got sacked, boom, went to overtime, and then Arizona just took it from there. But there was absolutely a missed opportunity for TCU to,
Hmm. It's very that's
at the very
unfortunate
least,
for
get some
TCU.
points to make it to where it didn't get to overtime.
Right. Let's
But
get.
it's a shame of it because they actually had control of the game for most of it.
Yeah, unfortunate. That drops. That gives them two losses there in the conference, and it's definitely
Yeah,
going to
and
hurt them down the
just
run.
with some of these guys, especially a talent like Arizona, you cannot be leaving points on the board or making mistakes.
Right.
Unfortunately, as all it takes is one, and then there you go. The game goes right back in their favor.
Yeah.
Arizona is a top tier opponent.
Tier one.
TCU might want something back, but I mean, it was an amazing game. Like it could have gone one way or the other still in overtime. Arizona just was better offensively
Yeah,
when it
definitely.
mattered.
So moving on here to the second to last game. This one was played today. I was watching. Clemson just absolutely dominated North Carolina. Um, they were up 21 nothing early in the first quarter, and then Clemson just kind of coasted. I think Clemson or North Carolina had -1 passing yards at the end of the first quarter. So it was just a slugfest there. And then it looks like North Carolina got a lot of garbage yards there towards the end. But credit Clemson, he needed that one after losing out on a 5-star running back to Ole Miss.
Just had to get that one
Unfortunately.
in there, huh?
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, good game for Nick. Conference game.
Yeah, and he basically needed it because it's. I don't want to get ahead of our next segment here, but um,
Right.
you need a game like that to bridge that gap
Because we were
where
talking up
Virginia
North
Tech isn't just
Carolina.
running away.
We were
Yeah, we
saying
were. They
we
could have beat Notre Dame, and then they come back with a stinker.
right.
Maybe Nick was just locked in. Maybe
It
just
was at
matches up
Clemson.
better.
At Clemson, so stadium
Yeah,
effect was in play. They were the 5th ranked. Stadium
but
effects,
I mean,
which
it's just unfortunate for North Carolina because they
right,
need one of these games to sort of keep themselves in the race.
definitely. I wouldn't say they're out
And
yet,
now
but because that's their only first loss in
they're not
conference.
out yet, but now instead of being up, trying to challenge the likes of Virginia Tech,
Right,
they're
3
now with the
losses.
rest. There's a couple in the ACC, and then there's the rest, but we'll
Right.
get into that.
Missouri, Florida, Tigers took care of business again.
Yeah, I mean they're taking care of their in-conference opponents here.
Yep. Looks like he took care of them in the past game. Let's see. Yep, 3 touchdowns, no picks, almost 300 yards. So good game for Jeremita there. Looks
Yeah,
like it was
and
only through the air, pretty much for the Tigers.
yeah, that's sort of his mo. I mean, he's like me in that scenario where I'm quick to abandon the run if I'm not having success. But it doesn't mean you lose games that way. You just have to be efficient passing the ball, and he has a really good passing game. I can
Yep.
attest to that personally.
Yeah, I'll have him later in the year. So it looks like we have Texas, Oklahoma left to play, LSU, Georgia, Alabama's CPU game, and then I believe there's one more
Might be
left.
it.
Now there's one more, and it's good old our buddy Washington. Um,
If I, what, I'm gonna predict a loss on this one.
yeah, so we'll see what happens there. He's going to Bloomington. He might already have the force loss. We'll see. We'll just do a quick little run here. Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. I'll take Virginia Tech here by 1,000. How about you,
Yeah,
Ricky?
Virginia Tech sort of running away with this conference. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Right.
Um,
We'll
so
just keep it brief.
until proven otherwise, it's
Yeah.
them.
Yep. Alabama, Florida. I'm taking Alabama in this
Yeah, I'm
one.
gonna take Alabama, and we'll get into this a little bit later once we do um, our conference power rankings and how
Yep.
we rank some of the teams within them. But this is a game that Alabama could really truly set themselves apart from
Yep.
everyone else in the SEC.
Definitely.
I'm gonna
Florida
predict
State.
that it happens too.
Right. Yeah. Me too. Florida State, Pitt. I'm gonna take Florida State. Pitt's kind of a wild card right now. If they win this, then they'll definitely be more of a wild card. But I think Ian
Yeah, I mean, let
will
me
win
say
this.
this: on paper and everything I've seen, Florida State's gonna win this game.
Yeah, that's what I
Now,
think.
if Pitt sort of takes, I wouldn't say advice, but just generally smartens up in terms of not throwing as many interceptions, this could be a close game, and then anything happens in those close games.
Yeah, conference
Um,
games are always tough. It's at Pitt, so that
they're
could
always
stadium
tough.
effect could
I
affect
mean, at the end of the
Ian.
day, I think Florida State is going to win this game. They're going to, but I mean, don't get me wrong though. Florida State's ninth ranked team, 4-1. They like to throw interceptions themselves.
Definitely. So we'll see. So I got a tough Tennessee. That's probably the toughest CPU left. That's, you know,
Yeah, they're tough. I
yeah.
beat them. Not to Frank, you might be Mr. SEC, but I'm 3-0 against the SEC this
I
year,
know you are, Ricky. So we'll
and
see.
this is going to be one of these teams here.
We'll see what happens. I might play this Sunday, but we'll see.
Oh,
Let's see. LSU, Texas. I need LSU for this one. I need Duke here to take care of Texas to help even out the SEC a little bit. So hopefully LSU can get it done. But Texas, obviously, he has his trick plays up his sleeve. He likes that reverse pass. He got me on it. So Texas
well, I
has the
mean,
plays that he has his playbook down. So it'll be tough for LSU there because he likes to run the ball. But
yeah,
we'll see. I'll
I'm gonna
take
I'm
Texas
gonna take
though.
Texas in this one
Yeah,
though.
me
Yeah,
too.
I'm gonna. LSU though has a lot of good players. They almost beat Clemson a couple weeks back. Just I think Texas is they know what they have to do. They know they have to win basically the rest of these games, or at least not slip up against people they shouldn't.
Right.
And I'm going to take the Longhorns here.
Yep, I agree. Kansas, Utah. After what Utah did against Arizona, I think the money's all on Kansas here.
Yep, this is one of those games where Kansas, they should win this game. They need to win this game to continue to stack up against the likes of Arizona and Colorado. Continue making that a three-horse race. But if not, I mean, Utah gets themselves back in it. I just, I think the Jayhawks are way too potent
Right.
offensively.
Yeah, Kansas will be good. Miami, Clemson. See, this is where I want to take Miami, but playing at Clemson's always hard. I'm gonna take Clemson here. What about you, Ricky?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Clemson here as well. I mean, I hate to go chalk, chalk, chalk,
Right.
but I feel like Nick plays a sound game. He doesn't try to force the ball. He knows his identity. Um, I feel like Miami, if it was a team that didn't make mistakes themselves, I might be more inclined. But um, I'm gonna just take the Tigers on this one.
Yep. So you got Computer Michigan. We were talking about them, which they lost last week to Purdue, which was
Yeah, if they
kind of
lost that one, I should win this game.
yeah. You should
I
definitely take
mean,
care of them. So I got no doubts in that.
but all it takes is throwing a couple interceptions early with my kind of play style, and I'm playing from behind. It makes you press more.
Right. And that
But with that said, considering everything that happened, if I'm losing to the computer, let me just say I'm not losing to a computer.
right. And then that'll wrap up all the games for week 7.
Yeah,
So do you want to move on to our next segment?
yeah. So essentially, we're just gonna,
We'll start here.
you know, yeah, we're gonna just go down the conferences here and sort of like give our 4 best teams in each one. It's not gonna be like a tier system. We're gonna hold that off for other guests that want to come on eventually. We're not gonna, and it's sort of just, we're the playoff picture is starting to,
We're starting to
root
get there.
itself
We're a
out
couple
from
weeks away.
the teams that are losing too much and from teams that still have potential.
Yep. So you want to start? Obviously, Virginia Tech is probably the best team in the ACC. Was definitely the best team in the
Yeah, for
ACC, and probably one of the top 3 teams in the whole dynasty right now.
yeah, until proven otherwise, right? I
Yep.
mean, Virginia Tech is at worst the second uh has is at worst the second worst team in the whole
Yeah.
dynasty right now. Um, it's up to you if you want to put Colorado one or Virginia Tech one. Doesn't matter. But Virginia Tech is on an island on their own right now in terms of how they're
Yep.
playing these games.
Number 1 in the
Um,
ACC as well. So good for
yeah,
them.
I think they are far and away number one right now in the ACC
Number
until
number
otherwise.
2, Florida State. They've
Yep,
been
agreed
playoff
there.
team, been there, done that. He's proven it time and again. 3-0 in the conference, off to a great start.
Yeah, they've taken care of business. My only worry with them is how they're winning these games.
Right.
It's not exactly easy. Where Virginia Tech is just blowing anyone out of the water.
Yeah,
That's the difference. That's why I say there's a little bit of a gap
354
right now.
points already in the season. He did drop 125 against the computer, so that's a little inflated.
Yeah, and
But
I'm not really putting much merit into that.
no,
I'm not sure.
let's see.
Some people just know how to play against computers. I'm more so basing these off of what I'm seeing in user matchups.
Correct. So number 3, I'm
So
gonna go Clemson. What about you?
yeah, I mean they have to be by default, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's Clemson. I'm not sure if Clemson and Florida State play each other this year. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
But if they do,
That'll
that's
be
where I'm like,
definitely
ooh,
one to watch.
maybe I do take Clemson in that matchup. But from what
Right.
I've seen thus far, I put Clemson 3.
Now the number 4 team, that that's kind of up for grabs. I think you could put North Carolina, you could put Miami. I think right now I'm going to go with Miami. Just right now, just because I've seen more out of Miami's offense. North Carolina, just lost that big one. So right now, I'm going to have to put Miami at 4. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't want to really down anyone, but I think there's there's three, and then there's the rest in the ACC. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at with it. That's at least what I've seen. I would be glad if anyone proves me wrong.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm gonna put Miami at 4 for this ranking,
Okay.
but
So
just know
we're
there's a
agree 1 through 4.
gap. There's a considerable gap.
Correct. All right. Well, we'll move on here to the Big 12. Keep going here. Number one team in the Big 12 and the number one team overall, Colorado.
Yep. I mean, there's no argument against it, right? They've beaten Iowa. They've beaten who was the
Me.
other big
Well,
gauntlet
they
match they
took
had?
me. They
Oh,
took me
you.
down
That's right.
with ease. They play Penn State.
Not yet, but that's
Not yet.
coming.
It's coming up. And you beat Iowa.
They beat Iowa. I mean,
Um,
that was the matchup of the year so far. Was
so
that Colorado Iowa matchup, and they took care of business.
yep. Tried to get Prime on the podcast. He's a hard man to get a hold of. But we'll eventually get him on. Number 2 and 3 here, you could intermix Kansas or Arizona. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I'm
I
gonna let you
probably,
give your opinion, then I'll give mine.
yeah, I'm gonna go Arizona first just because of their offense. Kansas might have a better defense. But right now, I think Arizona. If they play Kansas, I'm gonna take Arizona. So I go Arizona 2, Kansas 3.
I think I'm actually gonna put Kansas 2 here.
Okay.
Arizona has the big win, obviously, against Penn State, right? But it hasn't exactly aged well in terms of McMahon's perspective. He doesn't have a signature win himself this year.
Correct.
That's no fault to Arizona. The reason why I put Kansas in front of Arizona is what I've seen in the other games. If they don't have that running game, they fell behind Iowa pretty quickly, and it was not a game at all.
Right.
Where I feel like Kansas, they they can run the ball well, they can pass the ball well. I would not say I would take them heads up, but in terms of where I'm going to rank them to what I've seen thus far, give me Kansas at number 2 in the Big
Yeah.
12, then Arizona number 3.
Fair enough, Ricky.
But let me say this: like all 3 of those teams are playoff teams.
Correct. They very well could be.
Rank
They
them
might.
however you want, 1 through 3. All 3 of those are making the playoffs.
Yeah. They might just take themselves out though. I'm not sure how the schedule works
These
out,
might
but
be 3 of the best 5 teams in the whole dynasty.
yeah,
You
no
know,
doubt. So number 4 again is kind of up for grabs. You can put Utah there. You can put TCU there. And yeah, that's about it. I'll put Utah there just because they can pass when they need to, but they might struggle in the big game. Whereas also TCU kind of does the same thing. They have a big quarterback, but turns the ball over. Maybe doesn't have the best clock management, but that's why I'll put Utah in at 4, just above TCU.
did Utah and TCU play each other yet?
Not sure.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they did, but I'm gonna take Utah.
At 4.
But I want to say they beat TCU, but maybe I'm thinking of some other
It's
game that Utah was playing.
okay. Well, that's something we can check.
Yeah, well, we're gonna sound like idiots right now, but that's okay.
Right. We'll check here later. We'll move on to your conference here, Ricky. So I'll
Well,
let
I'm
you
gonna let
take.
you take the lead
You want
on
me to take
this,
it? All
and
right.
well, here's the thing though: do you consider Nebraska actually at 5-0, or do you take me at
Oh,
four
I
and one?
consider you 5-0. There's no doubt. So right now, top dogs Oregon. They took down Iowa. Um,
Yeah.
I have to put them at 1. Then do you want me to do 1 through 4 first, or
Yep. You have to do
okay?
1 through 4 first.
Okay. So number 1, I'm putting Oregon. Number 2, Iowa. Number 3, I'll put Nebraska just because Penn State's struggling, and I'm putting Penn State at 4. I think you playing Iowa is going to be probably one of the best matchups in the dynasty this season. That'll probably be a must watch because that'll probably be for the Big Ten. And then you obviously playing Oregon will also be big. You don't have to play Penn State, which is nice for you down the road. That'll definitely help you out. But I think all 4 of these teams could still be playoff teams in my eyes.
Agreed.
So that's it. That's
Yeah,
it for my one
honestly,
through
I
four.
probably have the same. I probably have the same 4 order as you do.
Yeah,
Oregon winning that game against Iowa. I mean, that was the heavyweight of all heavyweight matchups thus far in the Big Ten. We obviously already had Iowa and Penn State, but Penn State's just looking down 2 and 3. Granted, that strength of schedule is heavily skewed um, for
Correct.
Big Ten for Penn State, but just the way Oregon was able to basically come back in that game showed me a lot. So they're number one. I have a big game against them here in a couple weeks. See if I can take the crown, but it's gonna be at Oregon.
Yep.
Um,
So Big
Number two
Ten's
is gonna
going to be
still be
fun.
Iowa. Yeah, I mean the Big Ten's a gauntlet every year.
Yep.
That's why I say like 4 of these teams could make the playoffs, but probably won't just because they're gonna devour themselves.
Yep.
That's just how it goes
All
every
right.
year.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. Yeah, Iowa's number two. Um, they're 3-2, but again, they had a really tough out of conference game against Colorado, so I'm not gonna use that against them. And they obviously just lost heads up to Oregon. Could have gone either way. They play again the Big Ten championship. Go either way again. The number 3 Nebraska. Call me 4-1, call me 5-0, whatever. Um, I am definitely going to be a threat in those games. I feel it's just a matter of do I limit the mistakes against better competition? I've beaten the teams I should have to this point. My strength of schedule isn't quite what Iowa or Oregon or Penn State have gone through,
It's just will
but
the
I'm going to
moment
put
be
myself at
too
three.
bright for Nebraska?
Say that again.
Will the moment be too bright for Nebraska?
I'm not sure about too bright. Just some of these are just 50-50 games. That's
Yeah,
all.
right.
And then Penn State at 4. They still technically control their own destiny to get to the Big Ten championship.
Right. 2-1
Is
conference still.
because they still play Oregon, and they don't play me, but I'd assume they still play USC or Washington
And
kind of deal
Washington
here.
will get a forced loss. So they'll be 2-1.
Now, with this said, though, I mean they'll be 2-1. I think they only play USC left,
Correct.
so
So we'll see what
they
happens
could
there.
end with only at worst, 2 conference losses.
Right.
And that might be enough to get into the Big Ten championship, which again is what hurts about that whole controversy. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there,
Yep.
if we have to get there.
All right. Let's see. Moving on here to my conference. Let's see the SEC. This is right now it's garbage, in my opinion.
I mean, it's just open, right?
Yeah.
ACC sort of speaks for
Well,
itself.
right now
Big 12
Missouri and
speaks for itself.
Texas. Missouri and Texas is your SEC championship game.
Right, but we've yet to see Alabama, really, right?
Right. No, I'm just
I don't
joking.
think they've had a conference game.
Um,
So right now, that'd be my number one team
you go
is
first. Yep.
Alabama, considering what they've done out of conference.
Okay, so we'll start with Alabama. They don't have any conference matchups yet, but so their conference play is about to start. They'll probably.
Nope.
I think they play only SEC teams on the way out.
Yep. So I mean, these are the money games for them. But I'm going to put them at 1 through the eye test. And sort of just what the rest of the conference isn't doing.
Okay.
Texas A&M just slipped up against Tennessee. This is just a disaster start for the 2-time defending SEC champions. And I would still probably take them heads up versus the likes of Missouri, LSU guys.
Okay.
Until proven otherwise. So they're number 1. Number 2, I mean, I would probably go with Texas just because they're already 2-0 in the conference. They've already gone through you. I think a matchup against Texas A&M is going to tell the tale there, but they're number 2. Texas A&M would be 3. They lost to Computer Tennessee, of course, but they still show up in these user matchups, which is which is what all this matters. That's the only thing that matters at the end of the day, unless you lose like 3 or 4, but to the Computer. I don't foresee that happening. And then number 4, I'd actually have to put Missouri.
Fair enough.
They are already 2-0 in the conference. They're not only have beaten the likes of Georgia and Florida, but have done it convincingly. And I think you'll have a tough game on your hands when you play them.
Yep. Oh, I agree. That's great analysis, Ricky. So number 1, I'm gonna go Texas, just because they were in the championship last year. They beat me pretty much every time. It's not the SEC championship game. So Texas, I'd say, is 1. Number 2, A&M. They're always playoff teams. Texas A&M always runs the ball tough. They're always a tough opponent. Jeremitas might run the SEC this year, so we'll have to watch both of them. 3, I'm going to put Bama. He's on Coach Rick Saban on a miracle start, 4-0. So we'll see how he can control his SEC conference schedule. And number 4, it's kind of like how it's been for the rest of the conferences. You can put me there. You can put Missouri there. You could even put Tennessee there if you wanted, just because they're how tough they are as a CPU team.
They are tough. I
Georgia
had to beat them.
obviously has a tough. They have high overall team. The user play might need some time to develop. Duke's always tough. So at 4 is just a crapshoot. I'll
Yep.
just throw me in there just because I'm biased towards myself, but I definitely need to figure something out here the rest
Yeah,
of
I
the way.
mean, you're definitely capable of putting yourself back in that contention,
Right.
just from what I've seen thus far. Um, you know, with almost losing against Computer Vandy week 1, and then just simply, you know, I can hardly say competitive even against USC.
Yeah.
And then Texas just got the better of you, and obviously Colorado. But
Yep.
I mean, Colorado won't use against you. I think they're on another level too.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like a couple of those guys in that top tier, and then there's everyone else.
Yep.
So
Definitely, no doubt. So that wraps up our rankings. We
yep.
want
So
to
now
go
let me throw
over.
another question at you,
Okay.
another caveat
Yeah.
with all this. So we obviously just ranked like basically 16 teams there. Is there anyone on that we did not mention um, that you can see being a playoff threat still?
Let's take a look here on the top 25. See if we missed anybody. Well, I mean, USC kind of controls their destiny. I'm not entirely sure how their playoff or their schedule, plays out. But like they said, they play
Well,
Washington. So USC could
yeah.
be a team to watch late if they can keep winning their CPU games, and which they do convincingly every time. And they're always tough on defense. So they play Washington. That would be a big one for you, Ricky. So
Yes, it will.
so I say
Um,
USC would be a team to watch. That's in the top 25. I'm just looking at here.
no, they're a tough opponent. It's just the Big Ten such a gauntlet.
Right
They're gonna have to go against the likes of Penn State,
there.
Oregon, and Iowa probably at some point.
Let's take a look here. I'm just kind of looking through people's schedules here in case if I see a team.
Yeah,
Mm,
see what Oregon has to go through. They'll tell us a lot. So
Right.
just all
So
right. So honestly, just Nebraska and Penn State. So that's good for USC. Doesn't only they don't doesn't only they have to play Oregon.
all right, let's just go to
So
USC schedule if I can get there. So yeah, just Washington and that's it. Notre Dame game won't mean much. So
oh, okay, yeah, they can easily get into the Big
nothing.
Ten championship if nothing
Yeah,
else,
definitely. It could
because they
be
don't play the.
USC,
I was their toughest Big Ten opponent to
right?
this point.
So that would be
So
my team, Ricky. What about you?
ooh, it's tough. So I guess a little bit of this will come down to what you do, what you figure out. Because
Oh,
if you figure it out, you've shown first 2 years that Ole Miss is a playoff threat, SEC threat. Um, I don't know. Go to the Big 12 for me.
yep.
Yeah. I guess depending on what Utah's schedule is the rest of the way, they could sneak in,
Yeah, let's
but
take
they
a
would
peek.
have to win against Kansas here this week.
Oh wait, oops, sorry. Clicked the wrong thing. Sorry,
So,
everybody.
I mean, the way the playoff bracket is, only 11 teams can get in.
Right.
So we sort of go down the line. Um, Big 12, I'd say there's absolutely three. Big 10, I would say there's at least two, just considering how the conference schedule's been made up. So there's five.
So Utah's going to have
Probably
a tough
three.
road.
Yeah.
Kansas,
Yeah.
Colorado, West Virginia.
Yeah. I mean, no offense, but they're gonna have a lot to prove here, or they have to do a lot of proving wrong here. Because I'm gonna say with that schedule, you're looking at 9-3, 10 and
Yep.
2 at best.
So
But 10 and 2 might get you there.
definitely. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Ricky.
No, I was just sort of going through like in my head how many each conference might get into the postseason.
Okay.
So I think 3 from the Big 12, 2 from the Big 10 at worst, just because of how
So
they might
5.
devour themselves. I think 3 from the ACC. I think Clemson, Florida State, Virginia Tech are all in,
Okay. So 8.
and then
Dude,
maybe it might just be one like guaranteed from the SEC,
could be.
and then the at-larges are going to be battled between.
Well, Alabama and Texas, they both could make it. Just depends on what Alabama does in conference.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But I'm without looking at schedules. I think you can just count on
Yeah.
maybe 2, but definitely obviously the 1.
Yeah.
Within that conference. So then you have like 2 or 3
At large bids.
at-large bids that really go and that are not essentially decided at the moment.
Right. That's where it could help out the Big Ten, honestly, a lot. 14. You could get maybe 4 teams out of the Big Ten. I don't know
I
how
would say
that
maybe you
works.
would have got 4 teams before the controversy, but
Correct.
now I'm not so sure.
Okay. Alrighty.
But regardless,
Well, it doesn't look
yeah.
like
So you got the
anyone,
likes of
no one sent us any messages about anything to discuss.
nope.
So what else do we
Is
got?
there anything you want to discuss?
Well, well, we can do one more thing. We can look at here at the Heisman Watch. Let's see. We got Nick Harbor jumped both the West Virginia running backs. So
Wait, go back to that game. What the fuck was that? 11 for 500 yards.
oh yeah,
Insane.
11 500 5 touchdowns against Boston College. So
Yeah,
Nick Harbor
maybe
is a cheat code.
some kind of cheese play against. But then again, it's Boston College, so they probably
Yep.
have like fucking 75 overall cornerbacks. But I mean,
Yeah.
so Heisman race is probably already done with,
Yep.
which is fine.
No doubt about it,
It's
Ricky.
about the recruiting trail. I know.
Yeah. Oh, this is one thing
I
I
know
can.
you have some good news there.
Yep. One thing I can boast about. I lead with 4 5 stars, potentially a 5th one coming. So
Nice. So
definitely
it looks like
getting the
you
players.
were complaining about your skill position players. Well, that looks like all you're getting
Yep.
so far in your 5 stars.
I went heavy on them. Clemson obviously going defensively with theirs, with a quarterback wide out there to round out their top 5.
Well, they
But
got a good safety duo. It looks like.
yeah, they're always going to be a tough recruiting team to beat.
Morgan's definitely been kicking my ass on the recruiting trail over a
yeah,
couple players.
5-star guard linemen are always
Yeah,
awesome. And it looks like we
yeah.
have
It looks like they're going
LSU and
exclusively linemen.
Georgia going on right now, Ricky. So that's going live right
Oh
now
yeah, nice.
as we're going to
Good.
end up, as we're wrapping up here. So we can go right into that.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, honestly, I don't think there's too much left after that, and hopefully we get a nice little advance.
maybe an early advance. Who knows? Maybe we can get these games in.
I wish, but I
I
don't think
wish.
so.
Probably not. But yeah, so appreciate all you guys. Appreciate you, Ricky. Hopefully we get
Likewise.
anyone wants to join us, come on in. But with that being
Yep, our
said,
schedules are a little hectic. Frank and I don't work the same schedule,
right.
unfortunately. So there's a lot of times Saturday is the best day to do it.
Yep. But
Um,
that
but we
being
try to
said,
get them in when we can.
thanks for watching Middle Aged Football, and we'll be back to you soon.